emailed me and said, would you MC this event? You know, a lot of erotical things happen in Los Angeles, and I get the phone calls, you know, but typically the phone call is, Rick, this is happening. Can you make sure that you're not within a 5-mile circular radius? It's just going to kill it for everyone. So this is a whole different experience for me, Diana. Thank you for having me here tonight. Sorry. Everyone's husband is in the room tonight. I have to be very careful. I'm very excited to be here. When I pulled into Beyond Baroque, I really just kind of revolved the whole day around coming to this event, and I pulled it up to Beyond Baroque, and I realized I left my genitals at home. You know, well, that's fine. I usually don't take them over the Sepulveda Pass anyway. You know, the 405 and this, right? No, it's not smart. So I want to tell you what's happening tonight. We're doing something a little bit different than just a straight reading, though that is happening. We're going to begin with a question and answer with our period with our two poets, which I'm very excited about, and they are not, because they don't know what I'm asking them. Then they're both going to read. I will handle the introductions as I've been commissioned to do, though commission perhaps is not the right word. See, again, the comment on this being a lust event. After which we're going to open just wanted to let that sink in and see where you would go with it. The floor, something we can all get into. For you guys to ask questions for these two. That is a little bit of a letdown, but from what I was... But anyway, so that's what's happening. Then we're going to vacate the sanctum of the theater, head out into the outer rooms of the Beyond Baroque facility, the lobby, the bookstore, as mentioned by Richard Modiano, where you'll have the chance to rub up against the poets, purchase their books, have them sign them for you. I don't think Alexis has a book here, but she will take another book off the shelf and sign it for you.
Pre-order.
Well, there you go. So I think that's it. I think that's all the pre-stuff that I have to tell you. And I would like to invite up our guests, our featured readers tonight, to ask them a few questions. So please, if Diana and Alexis, you would please join me at the...
Thank you, Rick,
You're welcome.
for everything.
We'll just leave that hanging. Okay, so I have a few questions. I think there was, actually I should let you know, there was a little bit of a legitimate nervousness on their part for my sort of, I guess, reputation of not really giving a fuck about anything. Would you give us the questions in advance? You know, we really need to know, no surprises. So I promise you tonight, I promise them tonight, there's not going to be a question like, if there was a gorilla in the room, would you tongue kiss it? No, there's nothing like that. I'm not going to try to phrase the words, take off your clothes, as a question. So, first question's for you, Diana. You reference Anais Nin as a great influence of yours, and I don't know the history of that, and I don't know if everyone else does. I don't know if you've met her or if you're just particularly moved by her. I'm wondering if you can talk about your connection to her, whether it's an actual in-person one or how it affected your work.
Thank you. My whole connection with Anais Nin actually started when I was doing my master's in writing, and I had read all her diaries, and she started journaling. She was well known for her journals, and she started journaling at the age of 10 when her father left the family for another woman. And I started journaling at the age of 10 when my grandmother committed suicide. So I already felt this kinship for her, and I started reading all her journals, and I think the person in the audience is responsible for me connecting with one of Anaïs's really good friends. It's Stephen Rains, who organized an event at the Hammer, what would have been Anna East's 110th birthday. I can't remember what year that was. And I went, and he had arranged all these people to talk about Anna East and their influence on their lives, and to talk about how, these are people that knew her, including the people that built her house, and good friends and colleagues. And at the time, I was just working on my first poetry collection called Dear Anna East, My Life and Poems for You, and I was looking for people to borrow the book, and thank you, Stephen, for helping with that. And I also met Christine Rayner, who was one of Anna East's students, and also she wrote a book called Your Life is Story, which Anna East wrote the preface for. So there was this kind of serendipitous thing about meeting her friend that had actually touched her and been with her, and then I started meeting other people that were in workshops with her, and I felt this kinship for her. And I started reading about her, her writing. In addition to the journaling, she wrote some novels, and she also wrote some works on some erotic writing, but she did that mainly to make money in Paris when she was living in Paris, and she did really well with it. So I guess in getting to answer your question is what inspired me, what really drew me to her is her honesty in the written word, and her candor with just explaining and feeling just in a very honest and simple way what she was going through in her own personal life, whether it was fantasy or reality. She was real. She felt very real to me and very, what do you call it, not approachable, but accessible in her work. So she's been a huge inspiration for me, and when I'm kind of having that writer's block, which writers aren't supposed to have, I usually pull out one of her journals and just flip it open and read some of her work. So yeah, she's been a huge inspiration. Thank you.
It's interesting that you talked about her becoming real. Some of these people who are icons who maybe passed away long before any of us had the chance to meet them or know them or see them perform. When you have a connection once removed, even it turns them into a real person and gives you a little more something than Kishka's about thinking about them. Very cool. In case you're wondering, this is going to go really quick. I have 68 questions for each of them. So that was the first one. Alexis, I read an interview with you on the website blues.gr, which I've been saying all day is blues.gr. Okay. Which my cats seem to be very excited about. So you said you were quoted in this interview saying, "I want to write poems that people want to roll around in, get dirty, and come out the other end, tarnished, spent, and a little less alone."
That's right. Wow.
Yeah. Those are the only words I heard all day today. I mean, that was pretty cool. I'm wondering whose work, whether it's writing or any other kind of artist, does that for you? You can talk a little bit about that connection from those people.
The first person that comes to my mind is Dorianne Locks, Sharon Olds, very visceral poets, and Sexton, confessional poets. I like the idea of writing about things that people don't write about, writing about things that are unspoken, unsaid, shameful, embarrassing, confessional in the sense that everyone's guilty of something. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a legitimate answer, yes.
Can I leave it?
No, there's 64 more questions. All right, Diana. There's an obvious, to me at any rate, and probably to anyone who's a human being who knows the English language, sexiness to the title of your book, Lust. In fact, I loved on the back of the book, where typically in the back of any book there might be blurbs from other people. That section is called Praise for Lust. Which I thought, well, there's a writing prompt for anyone to take home with them. And I didn't care if it had anything to do with what was in the book. I just wanted to know what the praise for lust was. But in the book, you know, we think of lust as one thing, but in the book, which I read, there's a lot beyond lust. There's a lot of love and longing and pain and maybe even uncertainty. And I'm wondering, those two things can sometimes diffuse each other, and sometimes they can complement each other. And I'm wondering how you might view the relationship between the dirtiness, the perception of the word lust versus the other things that are very present in your book.
Well, I believe in lust for life, not just intimacy, and so the book does, and I'm a two-time cancer survivor, so my book does kind of bring in the lust for living, the lust for survival, the lust for just being happy with where you're at in your life, and if you're not, then change it. And so, in answer to your question, I don't really remember what your question is at this point.
Neither do I. I just keep hearing the word lust.
Lust,
This event is
it's
over.
all about lust. No, it's okay. It's over.
Relationship between the two things, lust and longing.
Yeah, well, I think, I was having coffee with a poet friend in Santa Barbara the other day, and she was saying that her whole, I think we all have sort of a key word in our lives that kind of drives us. Her key word was longing. Mine is lust. Some people are obsessed or they get carried away. They've just been having a lot of losses in their life, and so I think everyone sort of has something that drives them. And for me, lust has just always driven me. I guess maybe it was ever since I played doctor when I was 6 years old. I don't know. But I just feel like that's TMI. But it was with a girl. But twice. But I don't know. Anyway, I just love the word. And actually, the first title of the book was Lustful Musings, and actually my husband who said, I think just lust would work better. So thank you for that.
That is kind of a husband thing to come up with. In an ideal world, yes. Thank you. Okay, Alexis, you are also a photographer, as you know. I've seen a lot of your work online. I've seen it on your website. I've seen your regular postings on Facebook of your pictures. You have this really interesting ability to kind of document single moments of grittiness, of really interesting things, in particular in downtown LA, where you find your home. And I think there's a similar sensibility in looking at those photographs to what I see in the photographs to what I see in your poetry. And I also think, and maybe anyone who's an artist of any kind might agree with this, that when you're an artist and you have a concept for something that you want to turn into your art, you might be a photographer, you might be a poet, you might be a visual artist, and you can take that same idea and that same energy, and whatever your particular medium is, it'll come out in some way. It doesn't necessarily matter. We all kind of come from the same place. But I wonder if you can talk about the relationship between your photography and your writing, if there is one, and if they do come from kind of similar place.
That's a very good question.
Thanks.
Wow. I think it's a point of view, and I think that my point of view comes through whether I'm writing or taking pictures. We've been living downtown for the last year, and I've been documenting the changes in the city as the gentrification of Los Angeles continues and the poorer people and the disenfranchised are being pushed out. I tend to look at my writing the same way. I like writing about disenfranchisement from relationships, the way people react to being pushed aside, kicked out, disenfranchised. And I think that my point of view comes through for both of them, and also in the portraits that I do. I want to make people look like they look inside, and how they look when they think of how they walk in the world, so that if I've been successful as an artist, they can recognize themselves and say, that's how I see myself. And I think with writing too, you know, cut the crap. Just show it like it really is and be brave about it.
Honesty is so much better than the other. So yeah, well done. All right, I have one more question for both of you. It's essentially the exact same question. Diana, what excites you about reading with Alexis tonight?
So much. Well, first I have to thank Rick for bringing us together. When I called Rick, I said, you know, the publicist arranged this reading, and I want to read with someone. I don't want to read alone. Who do you suggest? And there was no hesitation. It's Alexis, and I'm so happy that he brought us together. I think she mentioned the word brave, and I found her poetry extremely brave, extremely honest, extremely accessible, and also it's written in a way that we feel like we've, you know, one of the things as a writer or as a poet is we learn how to talk about personal feelings, but with a universal sentimentality about it. And I think Alexis's work brings that universality to it as well as the personal. And I'm just honored to be here with her. And also, you have to see her pictures. I mean, they're amazing. If you're on Facebook, she's phenomenal. Every day she posts, I don't know how many, it feels like many, but they're all, you just can't flip through them. You just have to stop, and she captivates moods and feelings that are mind-boggling and inspiring.
Exact same question. What excites you about reading with you?
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. What excites you about reading with Diana today?
When Diana called me and said that you had referred me, I was really excited because anything Rick tells me to do, I automatically do it. And I had Diana oh God, I'm not doing that now.
Noted.
Diana had sent me her work. I'm a poetry editor of a magazine, and she sent me her work, and I thought it was different and sexy and accessible and brave. And she wrote about sex in a way that I didn't. And I found that interesting as well. I like differing viewpoints. And she seemed more romantic and more like, to me, someone who thought it was all going to work out well. And if you read my work, it almost never does.
Ladies and gentlemen, questions ably answered by Diana Raab and Alexis Roman-Fancher. We're going to get into the reading part of the reading now. First, we'll hear from Diana and then from Alexis. Diana Raab lives in Santa Barbara with her soulmate and Renaissance husband, who I just met tonight, whose name I believe is Habe. And their Malta Poo. She's the mother of 3 amazingly creative adult children. She recently received her doctorate in transpersonal psychology, which is also something that she made up. That has come in handy for life and poetry. She offers workshops in writing for transformation. She's the author of 8 books, so I guess Richard got it wrong when he was holding up just a few of them, including memoirs and 4 poetry books, the latest being Lust, which was released this past Valentine's Day, and which is on sale here tonight. She was nominated for a Pushcart Prize and is the recipient of other, and I love this, insignificant awards. And I hope when you received them, you told them that. You told them exactly what this means. Thank you. This means nothing. She's excited that the subject of lust brought her together with Alexis. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first reader, Diana.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. I'm so glad we chose you to do this. You're just absolutely perfect, and we'll have to have a drink later to talk more about it. I'm going to mainly read from Lust tonight, although I'm going to read a couple of poems that touch the subject in my other collections. The Visitor. You come into the night to whisper your kindness into my sleeping ears, as you hypnotize me with your eyes, your voice, and your ways. You rip me from a seamless sleep as you rustle about my rose garden, put me in a tizzy, and then leave. Your online words are coated with warm tea, and when you visit, your warm handshake asks unanswered questions, while the observer in you pulls feelings out of a bucket. My shyness, confusion, and fear envelop me, every inch of me. Your presence. Even when not in the same room as me, I feel your intense and powerful presence, whether yards away or within the fantasies I create. As I wonder what this all means in real messages. Or is it just something that propels me forward, dissipating this morning's fog? There are so many things I wonder about you and beg to ask, but you are so much bigger than me, and your voice heard across all the peaked mountains. And I do not dare step on your perfectly aligned toes, even though all I want to do is nibble on them. Here's the title poem. I usually write my poems with the title first. Some poets write their poems and then the title comes after. So for me, the title becomes the outline. Lust. If you know lust like I know lust, you know how it grabs you in places that feel so good, in a way that trumps tomorrow. It snatches and strangles our pasts away and forges forbidden futures, while injecting needles of pure pleasure into every artery receptive for its dose. The more you get, the more you want, as you climb the hill to survival, to the job which pays the bills and fills your dinner plate. We're not gasping for pleasure. The door swings open on your far side of town, where the boars reside in boxes stacked upon splintered shelves, which your parents have created. As your independent spirit branches out to seek life's rare erotic pleasures, found inside the scrotum and fallopian tubes of hidden channels of love, until the cell phone rings and snatches you back into reality, the one you crave to leave, in a giant step back into the timeless, lustful tunnel of pleasure. I teach memoir, and so I write a lot about memories, my own memories and other people's memories, and so this poem is called, Do You Remember? Do you remember as clearly as me the yesterday's star, the moment our eyes linked on that bench, in the midst of our heaven, when we realized where we were supposed to be and every other soldier was in his proper place, and every shoe lined in the closet of time, and every crystal and kernel of sand glistened under its new quarter moon, where you felt that you could walk on water without being called God, and offer hope to anyone who needs it, all because she walked into your life and emptied it. I also write a lot about creativity. I love the word creativity. I don't know, maybe if I say it enough, I'll be it. And my son, who is publisher and editor of the Newer York Press, who's here tonight, thank you for filming this, Josh, had me, I was very honored when he had an event in Washington, or was it Seattle, and he had me read this poem. So I really hold his opinion in high esteem, so the fact that he picked it means a lot to me, so create. Make me the person I want to become. Draw for me the secrets buried under the facade of responsibilities. Allow me to be who I want to be as I whisper secrets into the pockets of your open mind and the doorways to your heart. Make me the one you wake up to every morning, the coffee that brews you, the ice cream which smothers you. Steal my heart and hold it with those sculpted muscles. Massage it as if you want to keep it forever. And most important, please don't tell anyone our little secret of the person we will become together. So yes, Rick mentioned I'm from Santa Barbara, and we do have poet laureates in Santa Barbara. So exciting. And our first poet laureate, Barry Spacks, unfortunately passed away this past January. And I was lucky enough this was the last book that he blurbed. And he was at one of my first reading, actually. And I was really shy, because this is like a new subject for me. Well, I mean, these were all hidden in back journals and under beds, and finally I broke out with them. But and I don't know if it was 50 Shades of Grey that did it, but something out there, something in the universe told me that it's time to get out here. I don't like mentioning that book because it's so poorly written. I hope the author's not here. And what does a 20-something-year-old woman know about any of this? So the poem that Barry chose was Seduction. You never said a word, you never made a nuanced gesture, or took my hand to say that you wanted me. You never wrote me a love letter or said you couldn't wait until we met again. You never bought me a present or said that you never met anyone like me, or that you will miss me during your month-long travel, or that one day you knew our paths would cross again. But today, you could not put your finger on it. There were so many things that you knew without telling me. But I knew all the mutterings of your heart because I could feel the pulses through the deep look into my green eyes, and the way you seduced the dormant woman in me who had been living dead for so many years. Painting. I'm not looking at my watch. How am I doing?
I don't have any.
You're good.
Okay, thank you. You just want to hear that really sexy one. Painting.
Very well done.
Yeah, and actually, my first reading in Santa Barbara, I had all these stickies sticking out, and like the red ones were the really hot ones, and the purple ones were like, PG. So I asked the audience, so is it purple or red? And they're like, red, red, red. So I don't have those stickies today, so if you have a request, let me know. Painting. From the first moment we met, I painted your body with my long black hair, wisps up and down from your afro head to your perfectly aligned toes. You shivered in delight, and then my grand finale was creating an egg-cracking sound, dribbling its contents with light touch up and down your body, until you begged me to stop. For years on end, that was all tantra. Well, at least until our firstborn came along, and my hair got erupted in this new mom bob, which you detested because it altered our sexual rituals. Now, decades later, you paint your own art on metal canvases crushed and shellacked as I sit in this rocking chair, hoping and praying you're never able to crush the heart that has adored you for so long. I've never done morphine, but I did write a poem about it. My morphine. Seeing you, touching you, kissing you is the morphine which I love and hate. It is the cure for my wounds anchored in my psyche, this confusing package I am in. When you are far away, being with you comes easy. But like morphine, the more I lay my eyes on you, the more I want you, need you, and crave you. One might say that this addiction might one day kill me. But my hope is you shall never use this power against me. Or that like an overdose I shall spasmodically fall to the ground in a place distant from your warm heart and your caressing and welcoming arms. Orgasm. This title came after the poem.
Good setup. Good,
Ba-dum-bum-bum. Okay, this is a red one. You never really told me which ones were the best, or that you'd rather do without one, writhing, restless, and begging for more. You arrive just as eagerly on cold nights as you do on spontaneous love trysts. You possess me and borrow from me until we're interrupted by foreign night sounds or annoying phone calls, which force us to have to stop and start over again. Sometimes I think that you think life is centered around you, like the lion of the zodiac always reaching for the pedestal, or the joystick which brings you towards me so warm, so firm, so friendly, in the darkness which hides surgical flaws and yellowing undies, stolen by time and sent to me in the night, by you, the one I love and want to spasm with, over and over and over again. Thinking of you, or anything connected with you, creates joyous contractions in places only safe for you. Skip that one. Okay, so from the Guilt Gene, I'm going to read, there's only one poem here that's pertinent to the subject. It's called Guy at Bar. I love sitting in bars with my journal and writing about people. They never know I'm writing about them, but they think I'm just journaling. Because there's some interesting characters. I used to go to Starbucks or, Borders, but now we don't have Borders in Santa Barbara anymore, so now I go to bars and sit in my journal. Trying not to get picked up, but once they see you're busy, they just ignore it anyway. But it's fun to watch. Kind of like sitting in the back of a taxi in New York. The stories you get. Anyway, the guy at the bar. He sits on the other side of this smoky, remote, pub-swinging town, downing his fourth mug of brew, pretending he's glancing at the television suspended above my head, but really all he wants to do is catch my eye, get me interested and make me lose my heart, because his has just been broken by that blonde next to him, who at that moment, and don't look now, is flashing the guy with her big belly, who just told her that he'd make love to her better than anyone ever did before. Two more. Hiccup. Short one. It wasn't your offer or the way you said it. It wasn't the way you did it or how you made me feel. It wasn't the time of day or the month of the year or the shape of the moon caressing us, or how the sun rose when you smiled at me. It wasn't how the traffic zipped by on the freeway, or how you said goodbye. It was just the way you loved me and cared enough to ask. I was going to read What Women Want, but maybe I won't read that one. Some of the guys can answer that question. Found. Two short ones and then one juicy long one. Wow. It's contagious, right? Whatever you gave me. Wait a minute. I need something in my purse. Michelle, where are you? You know what I need?
I know what you need.
And maybe someone else needs one too.
Thank you. Does anybody need a fan?
I'm reading without using it.
The juicy one.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Found. The day my first story came to me, I started smelling roses around you and suffocated in my own delight. Friends do not meet one another. They knew each other from the very beginning. Period. The last poem in my book, it's not the last one I'm going to read, but it's the last one in my book, kind of says it all. It's called Where Else? Where else but in art can you let your fantasies blossom and dreams flower? Nowhere. This poem, I don't know if Tim is here from Rattle, but this is published in Rattle a number of years ago. By the way, Rick, you published one of my first poems back when you first started. Thank you very much for that. It gave me a lot of confidence. It wasn't a sexy poem, but it was a poem. Forgot to say thank you. Alchemy for Happiness, and this is in my little chapbook, and those of you who aren't poets, what we do as poets sometimes is we publish these little raggy things just to test the market and see if people like my stuff. Should I publish a bigger book? This is my first chapbook from, I think it was anyway, never mind, it was a long time ago. Alchemy for Happiness. Kisses on the inner thigh, the center of a chocolate souffle, fluffy Maltese puppies, chilled crystal champagne, Beatles concert in the park, bright purple orchids, fresh snow on Christmas morning, roasting marshmallows, half-melted peanut butter cups, mysterious love letters, lying under the Hawaiian sun, writing in Parisian cafes, chestnuts roasting in the oven, mom's chocolate turkeys, wrinkle-free and svelte, multicolored gel pens, Janine's lobster quenelles, Aunt Lily's chicken paprika, reading Anna East journals, French kissing under the full moon, a mink coat on a cold day, journaling in Big Sur, private jet to Fiji, bagels and cream cheese, a scoop of coffee ice cream, vinaigrette-basted artichokes, hot chocolate at the skating rink, a month at Yaddo or Esalen. Convertible drive on Route 1, freshly caught salmon, chocolate-filled croissants, front row at a Sting concert, yum. Fluffy down comforters, sunbathing on a Caribbean beach, crunchy French bread, runny cherry pies, bunion-free feet, 24-hour bookstores wherever they are, meditating in the Himalayas, bilingual in 5 languages, Aunt Silva's gefilte fish, Chardonnay on the terrace, a bouquet of red roses, surfing in Hawaii, sipping Alex's double espressos, a box of Good and Plenty, a night with George Clooney, repeat, repeat, repeat. Thank you. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Diana Raab. Nice job, Diana. Very nice job. Great to hear all of your work. Extra points for this as well. This is above and beyond. And I can't take responsibility for your comment about the juicy long one. That was all you.
That was the 2 short ones and the 2 small ones.
Really, the key there is that it's 3, not that. Anyway, I was considering, we're not going to do this, I was considering having a between poet time where we all hosed each other down. But I figured maybe that's just better for the end. I mean, usually before Alexis reads, I like to pre-hose myself down. And after you hear her work, I'm sure you'll understand. So, Alexis Roan Fancher lives and works in the downtown LA loft space with her rescue husband, Which is so nice. You know, some people don't even bother to you know, pet them, let alone bring them in, you know. Right. You gotta put down a lot of newspapers for that kind of thing. She's the author of the forthcoming book, How I Lost My Virginity to Michael Cohen and Other Heart-Stabbed Poems. Available at the end of this month from Sybaritic Press, which is a press that local girl Marie Lecreven publishes. She's the editor of Poetic Diversity, which is bills itself as the lit zine of Los Angeles. It's worth checking out. Her work appears most recently also in Rattle magazine, The MacGuffin, Hangman, Fjords Review, Slipstream, The Moss Tequila Review, Poetic Diversity, and Carnival Literary Magazine. In 2013, she was nominated for 2 Pushcart Prizes, and she's the poetry editor of Cultural Weekly. Please welcome Alexis Rumpenton.
Thank you. Hi. Okay. This one I wrote for my rescue husband. It's called Love Song for My Baby. If I could catch my breath, I'd suck your cock. But I'm so overcome by your studly chest, your hairy thighs, your endearingly bony knees that I'm afraid I'd choke on it. Anyway, let's forget the preliminaries. I just want to jump your bones, throw a saddle over your rump and ride, pony ride. I want to blog on your biceps, write erotica on your elbows. I want to tattoo my memoirs on your ass. I want to lead you out of the stable, trot you around, give you your head, then rein you in. I want you to taste the bit in your mouth and have it taste sweet, like Tic Tacs, like summertime, like ginger ale, just like you taste to me. I want to corral you in my arms, square dance in the moonlight, do-si-do with the best of them. I could put you on the stage in Tijuana. That donkey's dick's got nothing on you, babe. Nada yet. My very own John Holmes. I woke yesterday in a pool of you and me, your lips fastened on my pussy, your hot breath steaming up my thighs. You were humming the theme from Dr. Zhivago. And the dark buzz made my clitty hard as a little dick. So kiss me already, and then let's stick it in. This is LA, for Christ's sake, and the living is on the beach, on the fly, on the installment plan. Want to know how I see it? Each of us teeters on the totter, a paycheck away from homeless, from ruin, just one pitch from a shutout, one sweet thought away from the end.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is the title poem from my book. I'll put you out of suspense. This is How I Lost My Virginity to Michael Cohen. 1. My father hated him. 2. So his best friend JR picked me up, shook my daddy's hand at the door, promised me back by midnight. 3. Daddy thought I was obedient, a good girl. 4. It was hot, even for August. 5. JR's parents were in Vegas, so he loaned me their bedroom. 5A. They had a king-size bed. 6. Diana Ross and the Supremes were singing Baby Love. 7. JR watched cartoons in the den. 8. Michael's middle finger furrowed between my thighs. 9. I felt that familiar wetness. 10. Except it wasn't my finger. 11. I remembered where I was and closed my eyes. 12, he pulled down my panties. 13, pushed up my skirt. 14, no one had put their lips down there before. 15, no one. 16, it felt delicious. 17, I hoped he liked my scent. 18, there were lilies on the nightstand. 19, your hair smells so good, he mumbled. 20, he was holding his cock while he licked me. 21, I had never come before. 21A, not like that. 22, it was then I knew I loved him. 23, he tasted like me. 24, his dick grew too big for my mouth. 25, when he entered me, it didn't hurt. 26, I thought you were a virgin, he said. 27, I thought of the dildo that pleasured me in secret. 28, horseback riding, I said. 29, when the rubber broke, he promised he wouldn't come inside of me. 30, he promised. 31, fuck, I haven't thought of that in years. This is called Daddy's Friend Stan. 1, Stan likes me in those cut-off jeans that fringe my upper thighs, fringe I unravel when I watch TV after my homework's done. I do it for Stan. 2, he says I'm rocking his silver bikini. It makes my nipples hard. 3, he says in this suit, I look like moonlight flickering in a jar. 4, swimming laps, going nowhere, disastrous pair, Daddy's flirty little girl, and his good friend Stan, beer in hand, watching when he thinks no one's watching. I swim for Stan. 5, smolder-eyed, half-lidded snake. 6, he almost touched me. He never touched me. He almost never touched me. Choose one. 7, driving me home, Stan's daughter Ruthie asleep in the back, me strapped in front, the seatbelt dissecting my budding breasts. Stan speeding, his eyes on the road, left hand on the wheel, right hand lost in the no man's land between my knees and thighs. Shh. He soothes when I whimper, afraid he's gone too far. He thumbs the fabric instead of me, whistles the theme from Mission Impossible. That fringe, oh, that fringe. The first time I gave Cousin Lisa an orgasm, we had been playing doctor for months by then. Her huge breasts a magnet, her soft mons a refuge from my impending adolescence. Some nights, unable to dream, I touch myself like Lisa, replay the us, hidden between twin beds in her pink frou-frou bedroom, my aunt across the hall making dinner, the door half open, my fingers 3 thick in her daughter's pussy, the pinpoint of Lisa's nipple stuck in my mouth. I'd suck, she'd moan, I'd explore, she'd explode. It was the most powerful I would ever be. The first time I made Cousin Lisa come, we looked into each other's aloneness, the boys who didn't want us yet, the girls who shunned us like they saw something we didn't. When I let myself remember, here's what I see, me on my knees between the beds, the bounty of Lisa spread before me like a feast, her steady rocking against my wrist, a sharp pleasure, the rug burn that my knees endured, a penance prepaid. This is called like Sisyphus at the Chateau Marmont. I'd slip out of my skirt, my thong, my attitude, pull the sweater over my head, arrange my body on the bed. I'd go wet at the thought of you. It washed me clean and stupid. Down on all fours like a fucking dog, doing what my mama warned me not to do, throwing good money after bad. Did I mention how much I liked it? We had a history, all dead ends. You brought the handcuffs, I'd make amends. We already know exactly how it ends. You lie, I believe, I submit, you deceive. My body turns to you like a dahlia seeks the sun, and then you run. This one is called The Narcissist's Confession. Before I was your wife, I was a narcissist. Before that, I was a dyke. Before you, I loved an artist. Big cock, no ambition. I wanted him to change. His cock shrank. I poured sugar in his gas tank to teach him a lesson. What civilized person does that? Before I was your wife, I loved a woman. After sex, her scent lingered on my upper lip. Ode to desperation. But you, baby, smell like success. Old East Coast money, Episcopalian bebop, those blue eyes focused Godward when you come. It took me forever, stepping on them to get to you. Sometimes I wonder how I managed to climb over all those bodies. This one is a love poem. It's called White Flag. I know, it's funny. It's an acrostic poem written on Edward Hopper's painting Morning Sun, 1952. No one paints loneliness like he does. Those half-clad women by the bed, on the floor, hunched over, staring out the window, in profile or from behind, always clean lines, such worshipful light. The gas station in the middle of nowhere, estranged couples on the bright-lit porch after dark. Even the boats sail alone, and the diners, those hatted strangers, coming on to a redhead, a moody blonde, all of them losers, all of them desperate for a second chance. This morning, the sun pried open my eyes, flooded our bedroom walls. I sat alone, in profile, on our bed, in a pink chemise, knees drawn up, arms crossed over my calves, staring out the window, desperate for you. No one paints loneliness like Edward Hopper paints me, missing you, apologies on my lips. Come back, stand below my window, watch me beg for a second chance. Downturned mouth, sad eyes, parted knees, open thighs. That famous shaft of Hopper light, a white flag, if only you could see it. This is, this is from a new book. This is one of the poems not from my virginity. Anyway, it's from a book I'm writing, Downtown LA Poems, noir, if you will, and several of them are about a girl who is tattooed from her neck all over her body. This is the first poem in the series. It's called tattoo girl in a sheer white blouse, sushi bar fantasy in 4 parts, a downtown LA poem. 1, in the restaurant. I want to unbutton her. I need to run my fingers down her rainbow skin, expose the peekaboo of her sleeves. I have a suspicion what's underneath. The clouds, the python, the slow-eyed siren who clings to the cliff of her narrow hips, the hyacinths behind her knees. I want to see for myself. 2, in the ladies. She's washing herself in the sink like Madonna's Desperate Susan. Neck, armpits, breasts. Lucky me. She asked me to scrub her back. I trace a lotus flower atop indigo waves, the springboard for a hummingbird with iridescent wings. I dream about such things. She aims the hand dryer on the wall at her throat, lifts her arms above her head. On her right bicep, a Kyoto dragon wrestles with the sun. On her left, the beginnings of a crescent moon, a festoon of stars twinkling on her wrists like diamond tennis bracelets. 3, in discretion. She unbuttons her jeans, shimmies them down around her ankles. Above her mons, a red heart ripped asunder, and something written in Japanese. What does it say? Whatever you want it to. I want it to say, enter here. Or, in my heart, see our reflections in the mirror above the sink. Me, looking worshipful, ravenous. She looks like the girl who chews the tattoo needle over me. Romance it until there's nothing left for wounding. I should have found her sooner.
Oh.
This is called College Roommates. It's from the book. I asked for it. Coming home 2 a.m. disheveled, reeking sex every weekend for a year. It was my fault, always in his space, the skimpy clothes, teasing him with my inaccessibility. I knew he knew I was giving it away. I wasn't surprised when he sat in wait, pushed me up against the dresser, grabbed my breast, tore at my blouse, ripped my skirt, shoved himself into me, even then only half hard. I didn't mind the rape. It was the softness I minded, how he couldn't get it up when it mattered. I fell for hard men with bad intentions, not men who loved me. We never spoke of it, but his shame hung in the air, that hangdog apology in his eyes, the unrequited love that spoiled him for anyone else. Thank you. I have a couple more short ones. This is called Dark Options. It's also from the book. When you smile in your sleep, I get nervous. I know what you're capable of. I've got the souvenirs to prove it. The fractured wrist that never healed. The flinch when you reach for my face. I've learned to do what you tell me. Make myself small. Shut the fuck up. Yesterday at the market, I bought star fruit, endive, hollow points, and a pair of balls. Thought I'd give the salad a little kick. Sandmen have made themselves at home in your lashes. Dark blood is matted in your hair. It's 2 a.m., but I'm awake. I could have shaved my legs, could have blown you when you asked, stop being, what did you call me? A withholding bitch? But I like you best comatose, compromised, your back to me. Red is your color.
Oh, Alexis.
I have 2 more. This one is called Property, also from the book. 1. In the light. I keep thinking about the way you keep your thumb hooked in the belt loop of my jeans, like you have me on a leash, like you own me. I'm not sure. I don't like it. 2. In the dark. I lie on top. Your skin grazes mine. I breathe your scent, burrow in your flesh, forehead flush against your belly, eager mouth filleting your cock. So this is love. 3. In the even darker. Go ahead, push me down, pin my wrists, wedge your knees between my thighs, pry me open. You know you want to explore my corridor, my antechamber, my presidential suite. There's a basket of fruit on my D-cup titties. Veuve Clicquot in my fridge. 4. In the winter. You like fucking on top of the sheets, heater off, windows open to remind us we're still breathing. I can see your breath. It's smoke and mirrors. 5. In the cut. I keep thinking about the way you keep me under your thumb. Yes, you say, this is love. And I'm not sure I don't like it. I'm going to end this reading with a love poem to my rescue husband. And it's called Housekeeping. Ashes to ashes, dust to Swiffer. I love you like a cat loves an ankle, rubbed up against, territorial. I love you like the Swiffer loves the dust, deeply with an electrostatic charge. When you're gone, I shout your name, I match your socks, I scrub the kitchen sink. Am I not your love slave? Hidden in a heap of laundry, I touch myself, come on your warm, white sheets. If you see a trail of glistening girl sparkling across your coverlet, know it as a roadmap to me. Thank you very much.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm gonna go home now and set all my clothes on fire. I'm not actually even wearing pants. This is just body hair I've fashioned like this. Alexis, wow, that was quite something. That was another round of applause for both of our readers. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you so much to Jim Fleck, who's been on sound and always makes it sound perfect. Thank you to Beyond Baroque for hosting this event. Please, if you're not familiar with the place, check out the calendar, consider a membership. It's an essential organization that thrives on your participation and your membership. And please join us out in the lobby in the bookstore to check out books and enjoy the what? And the champagne.
And let's hear it for Rick.